The Center for Innovative Leadership video podcast is being brought to you by the National Association of Elementary School Principals. What's up?
We want to welcome you to the NAESP Center for Innovative Leadership video podcast. We're Andy Jacks and Hamish Brewer, two of the fellows with the Center for Innovative Leadership. Andy is an elementary principal at the Ashland Elementary in Manassas, Virginia. And myself, Hamish, I'm a middle school principal at Fred Lynn Middle School in Woodbridge, Virginia. The Center for Innovative Leadership podcast is all about real school leaders doing real work all across the country right now. And we want to find out how they're overcoming obstacles in unique and innovative ways. We want to learn from each other. We want to learn from their insights and experiences to take back to all our schools and our school leadership. Please make sure you subscribe, like, and share this to keep up the conversation around innovative leadership.
All right. So today our guest, I'm super excited, all the way from the big state of Texas, is Amber Teamann. And Amber is super cool. She also is author of Lead with Appreciation, and she does some awesome work at Witt Elementary School. And what city is that in?
It's in Wiley, Texas.
Wiley. So Wiley is the district as well as the city, right?
It is.
And where's Wiley in the state of Texas?
So it's a suburb outside of Dallas. It's kind of next to Garland and Plano, which is some of the more larger that you may have heard of. But we've got about 17,000 kids, 11 elementary schools. So not too big, but not too small.
Awesome. And Amber, you can find Amber on Twitter at 8Amber8, which I have to ask, what's up with the 8? Is it 8 your favorite number? You want to have 8 kids? Like, what's up with it?
It's neither one of those things, but I'll show you my little, do you see what that says?
Oh, shut it off. Shut it down.
So Amber 8 is me surrounded by Troy Aikman. So.
Oh, I should have known. I felt like Hamish. I felt like I just walked into that and just got crushed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, had I known 10 years ago that my Twitter handle would be as synonymous with my name as it actually is, but it's fine because Troy appreciates that. He has commented, so he is well aware of that adoration there.
Troy Aikman has commented on your name and Twitter? Or just on you? Or your friend?
Okay, so I'm not making this up here.
Okay.
The very first person that Troy Aikman ever wished happy birthday to on Twitter was me.
Whoa.
Yes, and like 2 weeks ago, he liked one of my pictures on Instagram, so I think we're basically engaged. It's fine.
Yeah, you guys are connected. Well,
you guys are that's intense Cowboy fan right there.
There is another amazing connection today, Andy. So we can't go too far down the track without celebrating somebody that you help uplift and inspire and send on her way. One of your old interns is down there and practically BFFs with our guest today.
Yeah, Laurie Robinson. She is a big shout out to Laurie. Where's my girl, Laurie? Laurie, if you actually can follow back on my YouTube channel, you'll see videos of Laurie and I doing video newsletters to our parents. We even did these like call and response things. We did like the roller coaster cheer and stuff like that. Pretty silly stuff, but Laurie's all in. She's that kind of person, and I love her dearly. I'm glad she's doing so well. She's assistant principal over there. I'd steal her back in a heartbeat to do any work with me because she's amazing. I'm sure, Amber, if she is heading to your guys' direction, I'm sure Wiley is the place to be.
Absolutely. Laurie's fantastic.
So, Amber, talk to me about Wiley and what's great about Wiley before we jump into here.
Oh, my goodness. I am super Wiley biased. I love our district. I love everything that we stand for. I love that we are a character-driven district. My superintendent has his focus and doctorate in character education, and so there is something that is highly promoted around here called the Wiley Way, and
yes.
He's real big into saying that we can have smart kids all day long, but if we don't have good kids, then we're not really doing what we're here to do. And so our focus is both academic because we're one of the top performing districts in the state of Texas, but we also are very led by this Wiley Way. And as much as we can give and support and increase character, we stop down every single 9 weeks for one solid day and focus on grit, responsibility, celebration, caring and giving, just different character traits that our community has said are important to them to grow future citizens. And so all academics stop down. We have conversations, activities, just as a campus, as a district. So I have a fourth grader and I have a senior in high school. And at the dinner table that night, we can have conversations about respect, about responsibility, because they've both gotten the same message. And I just think that's incredibly important in an era of standardization when a district intentionally pauses to reflect on character traits. It's definitely something that I haven't heard of as I've been out and about and doing all the things. And so I'm a real big fan of where I'm at and am incredibly blessed to be able to lead here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And having that sort of unified vision about what you're trying to accomplish and how you talk and the language you use is so key, right? And so big shout out to Wiley. And what's your superintendent's name?
Dr. David Vinson.
David Vinson. Good job. Good job. And so talk to us how that looks like in your school.
So Witt Elementary is obviously, again, the cutest and smartest wolves in all the land, but we have 674 kids, kinder through fourth. And it is somewhere, we are a high-performing, high-achieving campus.
Okay.
We, again, do relatively well when it comes to the academic pieces. We're coming off of our highest year of academic data.
Yeah, good job.
Again, because I think it's important that we'd be able to do both. My goal is for my kids to want to be here every single day, from my phase classrooms to my high achievers. I want them to love school. I want them to remember me. I want them to have memories of elementary school and of interacting with their principal. But I also want to prepare them for the next step. And again, having that senior in high school, it's incredibly important that I give them the very, very best foundation of academic preparedness that I possibly can. And I never want to sacrifice that preparation for anything else. But I think that you can do both. I don't think it has to be a zero-sum game. And so that's really my goal as a leader, is to both push you academically, but make sure that you also are having fun and that you're loving to learn and that you see it as something that you enjoy versus something you have to do, and that they want to come back and see me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not that easy though, right? Like the challenge of, Hamish and I talk about this all the time, the challenge of pushing forward and making your school just academically phenomenal, as well as doing all the other stuff. Now, you can do both. We can have the best of both worlds. What are those challenges that you may have whenever you're doing that? Because you can't just make it all fluff either, right? So how do you balance that, like what's going to take away from something else,
Absolutely. Again, we have to work within the system that we are in, right? And so within Texas, we have a STAR test. We have a standardized test for third and fourth graders, which is stressful. Again, that fourth grader of mine, she gets pretty anxious come testing time. Making sure that my teachers are prepared, that they have what they need to make sure that they are prepared for any of those assessments. It has a viable curriculum. It's making sure that we put the most important things first. It's making sure that our focus is, again, on that preparedness, but yet also stopping down and recognizing that drilling and killing is not what we're going to do here, that you can prepare kids in a legit way that doesn't require workbooks all of the time, that doesn't require drill and kill and hating life because you got 5,000 pages of math homework to get you ready. It's having those conversations with my teachers where they know it's okay to stop down and do something fun and to take risks and to do something awesome. But that's not all we're going to do. We're going to try things, and if they work, they work. If they don't, then we're going to try again. A lot of the trends that you see, flexible seating or, one-to-one, or everything's on a device, there are teachers that works for, and they're able to prepare kids amply using that. And then there are teachers that may not be their wheelhouse. And so I'm real big on teacher individualization and making sure they have autonomy to make decisions based on the kids in their class.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's so amazing when you get into our role and you see the differences between teachers, and teachers sometimes feel that they're all the same, like, oh, we all do this, or we all enjoy this, part of instruction, or our classes look the same. And you realize when you get administration, like no one looks the same. You get teachers that are doing the exact same thing. They don't look the same. It's the, was the Gordon book Soup I have, which I love, because it says, people can make the same recipe of soup, but the soup comes out tasting differently each time, because no matter what you do, the individualization, the personalization that you have just plays it out different. So if you force feed a exact template for everyone, it wouldn't work anyways, right? So, and there's so many teachers that have amazing instruction that can be very simple, but very powerful and effective too. So you have to be very careful that we sort of override what's actually working out there, right?
I want to make sure that my teachers see the value in their strengths and what they bring to the table. They all are here for a reason, and this is my 5th year here. And so I can honestly say that the team that I have is the team that I want to fight next to, that I want to fight beside, in front of, whatever it is that they need. They all are so incredibly driven, and they all bring different strengths to the table. And so I couldn't imagine ever saying with any of our initiatives, again, thankfully I'm in a district that doesn't push that, but everyone gets to do what they do the very best that they can. And if there's a place where I can help support and grow, then that's what I'm going to do. But they all have different strengths, and those strengths collectively is hashtag We Are Wit. And that's what I'm just super proud of that.
Nice. We Are Wit. Hashtag We Are Wit. So check it out right now if you're watching. What about, before we get into your video, we have pictures to show and another video piece. Talk to us about author. What's it like being an author, and lead with appreciation? Why did you write that? What's it all about for our audience, and why should someone go buy it right now?
Yeah, so Melinda Miller is my co-writer for Lead with Appreciation. Melinda and I connected 6 or 7 years ago on Voxer, one of those Twitter friends that becomes in real life friends. Yep. And we found that we had this connection on wanting to show appreciation, looking at climate, looking at culture, looking at the positive morale that's necessary to do what we do. Yep. And that if you are happy, and if you have a work best friend, or if you feel like your boss sees you and appreciates you, that you're going to give everything that you possibly can. Yep. And so Shelly and Beth reached out and asked with the Dave Burgess group if we would be interested in putting kind of some of our collective thoughts and ideas together for a book. And we didn't know any better. We were like, sure, we'll write a book. That sounds super fun. Cool. And it was, because I love Melinda, and that is my love language, gifts. And it is I can write a cliche with any box of Little Debbie's that you put in front of me. And so I love to love on my people, just because, again, I think that there's very little. I can't give them raises, and I can't give them, 2-week vacations all of the time, but I can definitely show them on a regular basis what it looks like to be valued and to be appreciated, and to just kind of build that culture. Cool.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. So let's get back into your school, WITT Elementary School, WHITT. Let's share out these pictures. And as we go through these pictures, feel free to tell us what we are seeing.
All right.
Do this share. All right. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Now I can pause anything. So this is your school?
Nice. That is my school. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
How did you get the rainbow above it? Is that like did you have to special order that?
That's just how we roll around here.
Everything's bigger in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. Even the rainbows.
That's right.
They include rainbows as part of their school plan.
Beautiful looking school.
Yeah, great looking school. All right. And here we go. Next one's coming up. I put it like on there you go.
All right. So one of the things that we love is being able to celebrate all measures of achievement for our students. So whether that be academic, or whether it be acts of kindness, or something that kind of emulates that Wiley way, we have a brag board in that front office of ours. My poor husband I don't even think he realized what he was signing up for when he, married a school principal. But so my husband made this chalkboard in our front office, and we bring our kids down for all kinds of stuff, and they get to sign the brag board. We call home and celebrate, and it could be something as easy as helping a friend, or 100 on a test, or growth on something. It's anything that they want to brag about, and it's so incredibly fun to call home, because the principal is synonymous with terrible and torturous things, and I have a chandelier in my office, so like I am the most fun ever. But when we get to call home and share pictures of them being bragged on from their teacher, it's just the highlight of our day.
It's a nice twist. It's a nice twist to something a lot of principals doing, finding ways to brag about kids, but that's a really nice twist to it. I like that.
Yeah. So this is in your office, right?
It's in the front office, but so that was one of the things is I had seen someone had put it in the principal's office, but nobody wants to come hang out with me in here. And so I wanted it to be something that parents could see, that our community could see, and recognize that we've got great things happening all the time.
And it was a chalkboard, right? Yeah,
he just did chalk paint on one of our walls, and made it super easy.
So we talk about all the time is it does not take a ton of money to make kids feel special and to change the routines in your school. It's just thinking a little bit differently and creating that kind of routine that you're going to use on a regular basis. I love the visuals of these kind of things, right? I know in our offices, it's something important that when people walk in, you should immediately feel something special about that school. Like parents should not be able to walk 2 steps into the front office without noticing something that makes you special, that you like kids and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, Andy, everything that comes out of my school, I am super intentional about. And again, for me to be as bouncy and smiley as I am, from the fonts that are on the handouts to the graphics, which I've included some in the pictures, I want every single message that comes out of this place to show that we love our kids, that we are super proud to be associated with this district, with this campus. And it just, again, emulates so much of what we believe in. And I'm very intentional about that.
Awesome. Awesome work. All right. What's this?
So that's Miss Texas. Miss Texas was excited to meet my kids, but I think I was more excited for Miss Texas, for her to get to meet us. And even though she was on this big, huge tour, she stopped down and was able to come in. She is a local girl, actually attended my alma mater here in Texas. And so her getting to meet my children at this place in her reign as Miss Texas, it was incredibly powerful for my African-American girls to see this beautiful woman who was in college, sharing her message of empowerment, of growth. It's probably one of the highlights of what we've done here, and they just were entranced by her. It was such a cool experience.
Cool. Very cool. All right, let's see.
All right, so that sweet little nugget right there, his name is Declan, and Declan has Sanfilippo syndrome. It is a degenerative disease, super, super rare, and it does not have a high life expectancy. So he is in kindergarten here, and his mom and I met over the summer, and she was super concerned about what it was going to look like for him to be in elementary school, because obviously super atypical. And it has been our entire goal for Declan to feel as if he's a part of #WeAreWit. So we all have on our Do It for Declan shirts, and he gets to do all the things that all of my other wolves get to do. And I actually had a parent reach out to me last night and say how very appreciative she was that what we do for kids, we do for all kids. And that mama gets to feel what it's like to be an elementary parent, and he gets to experience all the things that we get to experience, and that they know that we're behind them. He's just incredibly special. And when I get to dial down and make connections with families on something that's so incredibly personal and difficult, I want that to be the most positive experience ever for his family.
Yeah, that's so key. You have so many families that have so many real tough situations going on. You know, it's our job as leaders to find them. Sometimes every school has them, some to different degree. And if you don't look for them, sometimes those moments pass you right by. You don't actually help them as much as you think you do. And they're you know, the things they go through are real. They're hard. You know, they're real hard. And the ability of a principal, because of your authority and because of your financial ability to even include things or make decisions, is such unique responsibility. It's such an amazing gift that we have, that we can look out for families that way. So that's tremendous. I know. Is this connected to the other video about the playground, or no? It is?
It is. And again, recognizing that it would be super easy to make decisions based on the whole of the group, but Declan's decisions have to be different. And my students with Down syndrome and autism and sensory processing and all of those decisions, they have to be made differently. But I can't make a campus decision without including his voice, without including the things that he needs to keep him safe, or staffing decisions that are going to support and love on him. Because it would be real easy to shut that door and ignore that classroom and kind of let his teacher handle that. And I refuse to be that kind of leader.
Yeah, and we talk about equity and try to support all kids. And sometimes we look at ethnicities and diversity in that sense, but we don't always look at that through special education needs and disabilities. Where a lot of these kids need that stepping up ladder to look over the fence. You know, that classic image of looking over the fence with the different ladders. And we don't always look at that with disabilities and providing that serious level of support. And we can't just sort of sugarcoat these issues and think that, you know, oh, we'll just do a little bit more and they'll be okay. No, some of these kids need a lot more, and you got to give it to them. You know, you got to really reach out. So, all right, let's keep going. But I'm going to come back to that video piece about the playground, because that's pretty cool as well. So what's this all about?
So again, there is a World Sanfilippo Awareness Day. Yeah, and so, you know, we do it for Down syndrome and we do it for type 1 diabetes. I think there's a picture in that too. But again, focusing in on my students and what the needs of my campus are, we want to make sure that, he feels included and that we're bringing awareness. And so that he goes to assemblies and students need to understand that he is different and that there is something special and that he's not disabled, he's specially abled. And what we're going to do is make sure that they see and feel as if he is a part of our campus. I want them to recognize that he is different and that we are going to love him through all the things, but that takes exposure and that takes some purposeful connections. And I want to make sure that, like you said, as the leader, I'm the person that has to drive that. I'm the person that has to bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, that's such an exciting thing to be able to do, I feel like, in our role. When people talk about, I don't want to, I hear this conversation a lot from teachers that say, oh, I don't want to get away from the kids. I feel like that biggest impact can be with the kids directly as a teacher as opposed to like an administrator. And this is the kind of thing I try to explain to them is just the ability you have to support on a grander scale and really just kind of go all in with these initiatives and really help people. That sense is so amazingly rewarding and powerful that sometimes people overlook that in our job and they just think of us as sort of managers and evaluators and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But you have such unique ability to put these things in place. So
I think one of the takeaways is we take all kids, not some kids.
Right.
And this is a great example of going after every single child, appreciating every single child, school being open to every child. Right. And I think that's a takeaway for me because sometimes it's easy to lose sight of kids that can end up on an island and you forget to make decisions in regard to them. And so I really appreciate that that's what you're sharing with our viewers today. I think it's great. It's really solid.
Yep. All right, so what's going on here?
We like to make sure that all students feel successful and regardless of their abilities. These are some first grade writers, and so they are consulting with each other and giving each other some peer edits. Sometimes it's easier to take some advice from a friend than it is from your teacher. Yep. So in addition to me trying to read every single piece of writing that I can that comes out of the school, because again, we value academics here, and we make sure that they get to share with kids who don't necessarily look like them, talk like them, or have experiences like them. Right. And I think there's a lot to be shared there.
Are they purposely wearing these JoJo Siwa bows or whatever? Is that what that is?
I'm pretty sure knowing Colby the way that I do, that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, I was going to say, because my daughter went through that too. So, all right. Yeah, so you're doing a lot of awareness for a lot of different things.
And again, I had someone say, you can't do something for everyone. And I said, oh, okay, watch what I can do. That's fine.
I like that.
Challenge accepted. But we do have a lot of type 1 diabetic students here. And so those, again, are considerations that I need my people to be aware of and understand. And that impacts so incredibly much, from classroom parties to lunch menus to field trips to my precious, amazing nurse. I need people to understand that everyone doesn't think like you or look like you or live life like you. Yeah. And so that's just, again, we do everything that we can for all that we can.
I love it. You said you can't do something for everyone. Watch what I can do. I love that. All right, what's this? What's going on here?
All right, so those are, again, some of my high performers, high achievers. We do some UIL competitions around the district, and those are we had the highest number of kids ever this year participate in events, and it was such a great opportunity. That's my assistant principal, Morgan, there in front with me, who is amazing.
Morgan!
Yo, do you know Morgan?
How long's Morgan been with you?
Morgan, this is Morgan's second year with me, and she has just been able to help redefine how I lead, and it is incredibly rewarding to work alongside someone who moves as fast as you do and can help, again, balancing those strengths of trying to surround myself with people who aren't yes people, but who are going to push me and keep me on my toes. And Morgan Power certainly does that. So
I think that's a really great conversation, because that's something as administrators is often hard to do, is how do you lift your assistant principals up, celebrate them, grow them, nurture them, because really the idea is that we don't want to hold on to them, right? As much as we want to hold on to them, our goal is to send them on their way so they can be even more amazing than us. So how do you create that space for your assistant principal to be successful?
One of my key cornerstones as a leader is that empowerment and growth of the people around me. We had 12 people leave Wood Elementary last year, and 10 of them were promoted.
Wow.
So again, focusing on building it, that was not fun. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Sure. No, really, that's the reality. I mean, don't feel sad to say it's not fun. I think that's the reality. Yeah. It's something we strive to do, is to send people on their way, but we know that when somebody leaves, so does all that experience, all that knowledge, all that cultural awareness, everything, and you have to backfill. But as our job in the work we do is about growing the profession, is about expanding the profession. So I don't think be afraid to say it sucks. It does suck. It's exciting. It's crazy. It's hard. It's painful, but it's also the most rewarding thing that you can do.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that hold people back actually because sort of selfish reasons, because they don't want to go without that person or they know they need that person. But you got to really be careful about that. Our job is always grow everybody. That has to include those assistant principals and interns around us as well. And that's that legacy. I mean, you look at big legacies in sports or in football, and you always see these sort of chain of coaches that come up and then lead other successful teams. I just felt like that's such a compliment as a leader if you're able to do that. So kudos for you for making that happen in your school. Wow.
If you look back to that Jimmy Johnson era, which I know is a flashback, however, take it back there is a legacy. So I mean,
I walked right into it again. All right. Are you're gonna make an analogy of the Cowboys on everything we talk about, I think, which is great.
I can make a sports or a snacks analogy out of everything that we do. Literally. It's a gift.
That's great. That's great. All right, what's going on here?
Okay, so that's my sweet little Colton. He is, again, just one of our wolves, and we're getting to call home, and that poor mama was just, I don't even think I got it out of my mouth that I was calling for something positive before she was issuing all of the things that were going to go wrong when he got home, and I had to, hey, no, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But we are in our Halloween costumes, and we're super excited about calling home to brag, and again, it never fails to amaze me, the narrative that people have about why I'm calling.
That's awesome.
Our kindness board, again, focusing down and being able to stop and reflect, and every single student reflecting on something that someone else had done for them, creating a culture of awareness that kindness is something that can be done for you, and it's something that you can do for others. And so having the opportunity to expose our students to those kinds of experiences is really fun.
Yeah, I've seen this. The kind is a really it's really taken off. The kindness or being kind to acts and all that. And I think being kind is such a cool thing, especially when we teach kids, because it's one of the things I tell our kids here is that if you're being kind to people, that's about everything else is going to go right. You'll have great relationships. I'm sure you're working hard. You're taking care of people. That kindness goes a long way when you teach our kids how to act. And it's a sort of positive thing. It's an sort of action. Not necessarily just a response. With this kindness board, I've seen people paint them on. It looks like you have sticky notes. So talk to me about how you made that.
So that is in our front entryway, and we change it out seasonally. We have big wit letters that we put out. We have different photo opportunities. Again, elementary people love a good theme, right? Mm-hmm. So we kind of change that out seasonally. Sports, holidays, all the things. But the kindness one was that when we focused on, we had a day of kindness, and that again is one of our Wiley Way days. And those Post-its are things that other people did that were acts of kindness. And we're very careful with our kind, because I never want kind to mean untruthful or non-empowering. And so sometimes being kind is telling someone the truth. And sometimes being kind is not allowing someone to treat you in a certain manner. Mm-hmm. And so I always want to, again, make sure that our kids recognize not this super generic cotton candy definition of some of the things that we do, but giving them examples of what has happened to them as students. So all of the Post-its are messages from our wolves.
Cool. Awesome. All right, let's speed through some student celebrations.
Okay, so this one is really fun, because when I started here 5 years ago, one of the very first things that I wanted to kind of address was our awards and what awards looked like at Wood Elementary. And again, I'm a big fan of all the people on the internets before me that did away with award celebrations and how we don't recognize kids in these manners and yada, yada. That was a huge life lesson. My first year was probably statistically the worst year ever of my world. I was a terrible first year principal, and luckily was able to be loved and learned through to where we are today with the highest data and the highest culture and all the things.
All right, stop. This is key. This is key. Okay, here's like a insight right here. Why do you feel like you were a terrible principal? You said statistically. What does that mean?
Right here in this desk next to me, I have my culture survey from my very first year as principal, and who even knew that I could possibly be that terrible? They had zero hesitation in sharing all of the things and the ways that I did not do well that first year. I think 71% of people my first year wanted to work somewhere else. Is one of the, and I mean, we're 5 years out, and I could throw those phrases and stats at you like a champion.
So do you think as a first year principal, you were trying too hard? You're trying to make too many changes? What do you think was the stumbling block for you that created that? Because obviously we know you've gone on to be really successful and you've done well, but what was the change? Like, what did you recognize, or what did you see? Like for instance, did you go in and say, we're going to do this, this, and this? And everybody's like, hell no, we ain't going to do none of that. Like,
well, I think that a large part of it was my lack of emotional intelligence. That I failed to recognize that my position preceded my person in every single thing that I did. And my jokes were probably never that funny, and my outfits were probably never that cute. But that I just misread every exchange and interaction, whereas I was new to Wiley. I'd only been in Wiley 1 year before being named principal. So I didn't have a phenomenal sense of our history and our traditions. And I knew, because I'd been here a whole year, but I didn't actually know. You know, there's a difference between being somewhere and then coming into somewhere. So I took the opportunity as principal to think that, yes, I'm accepted because I'm the principal, because my title says I get to be the boss, then I'm the boss. And that was a horrible mistake. And getting to process through and have some honest conversations. That survey, that once that came out in February, I sat down with every single team, first grade, second grade, special student services, and I literally cried the entire day. And I apologized for all the things that they had saw, because that was their reality, that was their truth. And it was things like saying that I thought awards were detrimental to kids, and that I didn't feel like it was in the best interest of kids to be rewarded for a honor roll when, you know, our special education population never got A honor roll awards, or Declan was never going to get an A honor roll award. So what else could we look at? But I think maybe moving too fast, Hamish, I'm not sure. I think I failed to remember that Wood Elementary was not Amber Teamann Elementary. And that, again, here we are now, 5 years out, we don't do awards. We do student celebrations. So it wasn't even that I was wrong, which was what was so hard. It was that they weren't ready, and we weren't at a place in our relationship where they trusted me and I knew enough about them that we could get there together. I just tried to snap my fingers and make it all happen too quickly.
Yeah. So the takeaway really is, you know, like building those relationships, getting to know what's happening in your building, the experiences, the people. But it takes courage to say, you know what, I got it wrong. I think Andy and I will both say there's been times where we thought, you know, we got it right and we got it wrong. And a good leader, it takes courage to admit that, to change, to learn from it and move forward. And the fact that you learned from it is testimony, because you're still there 5 years later and look at all the success you're having. So I think it's an amazing experience that you just shared with principals that people will be able to learn from right here today. So thank you for sharing an intimate moment like that. I think it's really a powerful opportunity for learning for other leaders.
Yeah, and that trust, right? We always assume, this is something I remember from my first year too, is that like you assume that trust is going to be there, right? Like they assume that you're going to trust them, and you assume they're going to trust you automatically because you have that position. The reality is there is no trust. You have to build trust. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of credibility and daily interactions and daily support over a period of time to build up that trust in that relationship, right? And then, like you said, you can make those big changes. I would make an argument that if you're the same principal from the beginning to the end, that's not something you should be proud of, right? You should be proud of the changes that you've made in yourself to be a better leader. I mean, you talk here, people here will tell you the exact same thing. I'm much better now on what I do than I used to be. And I'm happy to admit that. In fact, I'm proud of that, because if I'm not better now, then what am I trying to do every day, right? Like you try to be better for your kids and for yourself every day. So I think, Andy.
I think in today's day and age, we live in such a different, live and work in such a different environment. Positional authority doesn't work like it worked 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Positional authority is something incredibly different. Positional authority is limited. It's short term. It's not sustainable. And people that are today's world, where you have everything within seconds, they don't care for that like they used to. Like if there's no relationship, it doesn't matter what position you sit in, the troops won't follow. So I just favorite part of the interview so far today.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because we have so many listeners, and we have a lot of people that talk to us that say, okay, I'm a first-year principal, or I'm going into my first year as principal. I just talked to somebody who's going to his first year principal this coming year, and he was asking me all sorts of questions about, okay, what should I watch out for? What should I think about? And part of it's like, you got to go along with that journey. It's going to be what it's going to be, and you do your best. There's some things you can think about, but the reality is it takes like a self-reflection growth period like you did. And it's tough. So how'd you deal with the toughness of it? Like, you still have that 71% in your mind. Like, those are emotional, like, boom, like just connections that you make. Like, how did you deal with that? I mean, obviously you said you cried to them and you let yourself out there. Did that help you? Was that like cathartic? Did it build that relationship? How'd that work?
It took some redefining of some relationships and some gut checking of listening to what they had to say and recognizing that even things, one of the big ones, again, at that time, was that I always had my phone. And they didn't appreciate that. 5 years later, they'll tell you, thank goodness you were always around and you catch these moments in my classroom and I'm able to get a hold of you and I can, but that was when I bought my first Apple Watch so that I could see, oh, that's not my boss. Oh, that's not a parent. My husband's a fireman. And again, I have teenagers. So I'm always needing to be in contact with somebody. Right. But it was those little bitty twists of, instead of getting defensive and saying, well, of course I have my phone because I have to do this, and this. I didn't get defensive.
Yeah.
I really had to reflect and listen as to what they say. I also had to redefine my trust circle. And I had to stop listening to people who would nod and smile because they felt like that's what I wanted to hear, and bring in people who valued me and my growth enough to be on the floor with me and to give me helpful advice versus critical advice, because I think those are two different things.
So I think that's really powerful what you just talked about, trust circle, because the principalship is very much a silo, an island if you're not really careful.
Right.
And we're trying to dispel that myth, surround yourself with people that lift you up and make you better.
Yeah.
Did you identify people that could help you with strengths and weaknesses you had? Did you identify people that you attained to be? Did you identify just good friends that kept it real? Like, how did you build that circle?
I think the first sit down was with my assistant principal at the time, and making sure that she understood who I was and what I stood for and what our vision for this campus, not my vision, but what our vision as a district was for this campus. And so it started with her and just that nucleus. I also have an incredible PLN, and I've got people like Tony Sinanis and Joe Sanfilippo and Todd Whitaker, people that I can reach out to that can be honest with me and help me see that, no, I shouldn't run away from the principal, from the principal position, but that it was a place of growth. Jessica Johnson, I have so many people who have poured into me and helped me see past the moment into what long-term it needed to be, to not overreact, but to also not underreact. Todd Whitaker went through line by line with me of my survey and talked me through it. And helped me put perspective with the words. And again, the 71%, that's such a big deal in my head. He said, Amber, that question didn't ask if they may want to be a stay-at-home mom. They may want to be a principal. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't want to work for you. It means that they don't want to come back next year, which was a really good spin at the time, that I needed to be able to just kind of own and be like, okay, you're not the worst person ever. It's fine. You can get through this, that kind of thing. But then also making sure that the people that wanted to be here with me knew that this was who I was. And this is how I'm always going to be. I'm a fast talking, fast walking, fast moving girl. And all of my strengths, we do a lot with the Gallup Strengths Finder here, the Enneagram that I'm big with. All of that speaks to who I am. One of the things they thought were super cliche were all the things that they love about me now. The different gifts, the different acts of appreciation. But if you don't know me, then you might think I'm sucking up, and you might think I'm just trying to pass off a late afternoon with a little Debbie Brownie. But now that they know me, it's different. And so it again is recognizing that 6 months at the time felt like I'd been here with them forever, but that was just a drop in the bucket when it actually came to a trusting relationship with my people.
Yeah, I think once you get to a certain period of time within that same school, you get a different sense of like, oh, now we have a real relationship. Like whatever I thought we had at the beginning was that this is, and I definitely can see that now. People, you start to really love your staff and you really enjoy who they are as a person. You get to know their families and the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's such a difference, right? So why don't we talk about some takeaways that you think that principals need to have? Like, what are some key things that you think that we need to share out to our people? First year principals, second year principals, aspiring leaders. What do you think?
I think that on my blog, I wrote about all the things that I did wrong my first year, because I'm very proud of that. I don't make the same mistake twice. And so I hashtagged everything the first year. Hashtag the first year. So all of the mistakes that I made, the things that I didn't think about, the things that I rushed through, I definitely reflected on, which I think is incredibly important. So I think the first is having a place or a space that you can reflect, and someone that you can share with, that you can look back later and see your growth, but also be able to evaluate how you handled and responded in certain situations. Again, looking back, I can see the way that I responded and handled things, how I could have done it differently and do it differently now. And that just builds relationships. And I think that's incredibly important. I think the second thing is, again, to value relationships over being right. And there's so many opportunities as a leader that if you feel like you have to be right all the time, you're just going to damage potential possibilities for your campus, for your community, for your people, and not even recognize or realize it in the moment. And so every single situation I walk into is an opportunity for me to build credibility, to build opportunities down the line for both my students and my staff. And it's an opportunity to build that trust. And I don't always have to be right. And just because you're the principal doesn't mean that you're always right. You too can be very, very wrong. And that's okay.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on today, Amber. You have so many gifts to share with all of us, and as leaders out there, I'm just like processing all of it. I love the line you just said about value relationships over being right. And you said something sort of similar to that earlier about position can't precede. What did you say? Position can't precede person.
My position always precedes my person. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship I have with my people. When I walk in, I'm still their evaluative boss. I'm always going to be that person, and I can never take that for granted. Yes. And so I think sometimes even being disarmed, you're still the principal. You're still their boss, as much as you want to be their friend or get along or have a moment of trust and all those kinds of things. At the end of the day, you're still their boss.
It's just something to really connect with it. And all the listeners are going to connect with these stories and these sharing in their sort of own different way, right? I instantly connect to the fact that I had something similar happen not too long ago, where it's like, I was just going in and sort of like giving some feedback, whatever, and someone reminded me of, like, people really take that to heart. Like, they want to please you. They want to impress you. They want you to think that their classroom and their instruction and their teaching is so amazing. And you have to really, like you said, I think you said it really well, you cannot take that for granted, that that power, positional power you have is real. And you have to be very careful and use it wisely, right? So I really connected to that. Thank you. All right, so we can connect with you at 8Amber8 on Twitter. Were you on Instagram and all that too?
All the places, all the things. Instagram.
It's all
Troy-centered.
Yeah. And your website is amberteamann.com. I really appreciate you coming on. Thank you for the conversation today. And all of you guys listening, watching, don't forget to go to our webpage, www.nesp.org /CIL to sign up to share your story with us. Keep the discussion going on Twitter and Instagram, everywhere else. For me, it's _Andy Jacks, and for Hamish, it's at BrewerHM. See past videos on a YouTube channel. And NAESP, if you haven't checked it out yet, NAESP does a great job of pulling these out with the takeaways into blog format also, so you can read it as well as watch the video. So I really appreciate Amber coming on. I know your busy schedule. You're an awesome person. So thank you for coming all the way down from Texas.
Yeehaw.
Wiley, yeehaw. All right, I saw a hashtag yeehaw. You guys actually have a hashtag yeehaw.
How we roll around here.
That's right. What do you think, Hamish? Pretty good stuff, right?
Yeah, great stuff. I think what I love about it is the direction we kind of were thinking of going in, end up being a completely different direction. And what came of it was so much amazing learning for anybody that will take the time to actually to watch this. They're going to learn. Today they're going to learn, and it's real. It's not fake. It was straight authentic. It was real work, real results. And I couldn't have been happier with that. It was just, and kudos to you. You opened yourself up. You shared with us intimately, honestly, thoughtfully. And I think there's power in that. And the learning that will take place from it is going to be fantastic. So thank you.
Good, of course. Honored to be with y'all.
All right.
All right. Well, remember, everybody, remember, don't stagnate.
Innovate. That's right. Take care.